Hi guys, I'm Roshan Nandurkar and you are watching my YouTube channel Java and Python Geek. Okay, so the next interview question, it may ask you in interview room. So explain types of exception in Java. Explain types of exception in Java, or what is checked exception or unchecked exception. Okay, so the question can be anything guys. Okay, types of exception, checked exception and unchecked exception. Got it guys? So the answer is, okay, types of exception in Java. There are two types of exception: checked exception and unchecked exception. So what is meant by checked exception guys? Okay, the exception, okay, the exception, okay, the exception, okay, which checks, okay, which checks by the compiler, which checks by the compiler, okay, which checks by the compiler. Such a exception, such a exception, okay, such a exception is known as checked exception guys, is known as checked exception. Okay, or you can say, or a exception, a exception which comes at run, which comes at compile time, which comes at compile time, which comes at compile time. Such exception is known as a checked exception guys. And what is meant by unchecked exception? What is meant by unchecked exception? Okay, we can say exception which checks by the interpreter, which checks by the interpreter, okay, which checks by the interpreter. Such exception is known as unchecked exception. Such exception is known as a unchecked exception, or exception which comes at runtime, which comes at runtime. Such exception is known as a unchecked exception guys. So we can have one example, like suppose we write PSVM, suppose we write PSVM, and suppose we have integer array, integer array, okay, like suppose we write 10, 20, 30, 40, okay, like this kind of element we have guys, okay, into an array. And these elements I want to print one by one. This element I want to print one by one, okay, like suppose we said for integer I is equals to 1, I less than not 1, okay, index in Java start with 0, I less than, okay, n, okay, so this n we will receive at runtime. Integer n is equals to, what we will say guys, okay, before that we will declare scanner class object, scanner, okay, scanner, and then we will say system dot in, okay, and then we will say scanner s. Before that we will pass one message, enter number of elements to print of array, okay, like this, okay, we can receive at runtime. We will say as a dot and next int, okay, so now, okay, we will receive variable n is already defined, okay, so we can say size at here, we can say size at here, and we will run this loop, okay, up to size, and then I plus plus guys, okay. So now I want to print this, okay, array as one by one, so we can say s out, okay, s out, what we will say guys, a of I, s out, okay, we will write, okay, some partition here, and then we will say n of I, n of I, and this n of I want to print one by one, okay, so one by one, okay, by taking some pause, okay, some interval, I would like to print this array element, so we will say, okay, interval time will be 1000. So now you can see guys, you can see as soon as I write this thread dot slip statement, so now now compiler telling me that you have to write this thread dot slip statement, thread dot slip statement, okay, by using try and catch, by using try and catch, okay, try and catch, okay, until then, okay, until then, okay, so code execution will not start, okay. So it means this exception coming at compile time, this exception coming at compile time. So hence we will say, hence we will say this is a checked exception, This is checked exception, guys. Okay, we will say this is checked exception, and hence we will write this. Okay, try and catch. Compulsorily, we have to write this statement. Okay, by using try and catch. Okay, we will say what we will say, guys. Which exception we may get? Interrupted exception. Interrupted exception EX, guys. Okay, S out and EX. Okay, this is called checked exception. Okay, but one more exception we may come at here. Array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception. Okay, array index out of bounds exception. Okay, but this exception may come at runtime. This exception may comes at runtime. Okay, so now for that we will write one more catch block. Which exception? Array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception, and we will say this is unchecked exception. This is unchecked exception in Java, guys. Okay, because this exception may come at runtime, guys. So we can try this. We can try this. Like suppose I said I want to print 10 elements. I want to print 10 elements, but 10 elements are not present. Okay, in array variable. So now we will get array index out of bounds exception. This exception coming, and this exception may come at runtime. So we will say, okay, this is called unchecked exception. Got it, guys? So checked exception comes at compile time. Unchecked exception comes at execution time, guys. Got it, guys? So thanks for watching, guys. If you found this video helpful, so don't forget to click on like and share to your friends, guys, and keep watching, keep coding, and keep learning, guys. Until then, happy coding, guys. Thank you.